news this week. The Mormon Church, big news. Yeah, you read this story? Okay, now, the Mormons, as you know, are a fairly recent religion. Joseph Smith lived in the 1820s, 30s, and 40s, okay? The church was always a little vague on whether he was a polygamist, even though the church endorsed plural marriage up until 1890. Well, this week they finally came out and said, okay, he had between 30 and 40 wives. And I think, you know, and what I love is they said he had a revelation in 1831 from an angel who said, marry plurally. Get as many bitches as you can up in there. Joseph Smith, it says, resisted 3 times until the angel came down with the sword, threatening Joseph with destruction unless he obeyed, and you can't argue with an angel like that.
I'm confused. What don't you believe?
Well, I mean, that this religion is based on a sex cult. It is plainly based on a 19th century sex cult. And I think if we didn't have Mormonism, we would have to invent it. Because for all the religious people who need something to look down on, because they believe something crazy, this fits the bill perfectly.
I mean, the choice to, like, put this revelation just on the website with no announcement or anything. And it's a very long, it's like a 4,000-word piece. I actually scrolled through it. I was sort of, news dump, but like on a Friday night, like no one's gonna notice. And it's like they're getting ahead of the story. What everybody knew anyway. It was just so.
But they don't. The trouble is that in the modern world, there are some things that people can know and find out that contradict certain biblical things taken literally. So the smart religious people say, sure, like the Catholic Church says, sure, evolution happened. We're not disputing that evolution happened. It's the dumb ones that can't actually acknowledge that, get ahead of it, and start arguing absurd things like the world was created 6,000 years ago. So I think it's just Mormonism being intelligent.
I could say coming back from the dead and virgin birth is just as crazy as 6,000 years, couldn't I?
Not because it can't be empirically disproven.
But why is that any more real or realistic than 6,000 years old Earth?
Because what they're talking about there, and certainly what we know from the accounts, is the people around Jesus directly after his birth really did believe that this man had risen from the dead. That's the entire...
First of all, there are no accounts from that era. The gospel accounts are from 40 to 70 years after he died.
Yes.
But also 40 years after he died.
But there's a lot of historical evidence that the belief...
It's like if nobody noticed the Beatles until 2010.
No, that's not true.
It is true. It's absolutely true.
The texts, yes, but they come from an oral tradition that people were talking about from day one.
Well, we don't know that.
We do know that. They don't come from anywhere. There are parts of prayers that seem to have come from early oral traditions.
All right.
The whole
I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. I think that if you get strength from going to your shrink once a day, if you get strength from going to church and mass every day, fantastic. It's good. I don't think that you have to
Wait a second. First of all, who goes to a shrink every day?
Oh, I know some people.
You have to be.
Know them too.
I don't think that's okay. If you are that fucked up that you need to go to a shrink every day,
if you're hanging on by a thread,
that is a thread. That is absolutely.
I'll grant you that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
No, it has to matter if it's true or not, Martin. It can't just be utilitarian.
But you can't prove it. It's absolutely true. You can't prove. We can't figure out who shot Kennedy. And we have it filmed, you know.
Right.
I mean, it is hard to prove that it's based on rumor thousands of years ago.
But when there's real evidence, like there's real historical evidence about Joseph Smith, you can't just keep saying it isn't happening.
Right.
Because people find out.
A smart decision, actually, for the Mormon Church to sort of, get ahead of the story. I mean, to own it. And then it allows people to sort of separate history from their faith. And not...
But also, you know, the Mormons have living revelators, I think they call them. They're a prophet, a living prophet, who constantly is, getting messages from God. This is how they, in the 70s, remember... What?
Mormonism is expanding. It's a growing religion.
Like the universe.
And Mormons send a disproportionate number of people to go work for the CIA. They own all these private security, home security companies. It's really, despite all the batshit craziness, and I think it's hilarious, some of the stories. And I actually read it a couple times just when I was bored in Iraq. I'd be like, no. No, but it's amazing. They gravitate toward the intelligence community and private security. I don't know what my point is there, but that definitely...
But, you know, I read that even the Mormons who proselytize all over the world, even they won't go now to Syria and Iraq. They're like, you people believe whatever the fuck you want. All right, thank